Hello and welcome to All For United WFC. Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. Jackie Groningen is out with a hamstring injury. Martha Thomas will be back. Kirsty Smith will be back, but not starting. Lots to talk about today from Skinner's pre-match interview. First of all, Andy, thank you for covering me for the last couple of weeks. How did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was great. I really loved it. I mean, we were going to discuss how you wrestled me out the host chair or that. But no, it's great. So you mentioned the best team news is John Foster and USC's back in. So it's going to be a good night.
Yeah, absolutely. I thank you, and I did enjoy watching those two.
No, it's good. I enjoyed it. Anytime, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. That's great. Yeah. Got a few quotes here, so I was point out a couple of these. So obviously we've been talking a lot about Marie Edwards in the last week or so amongst us and on the channel. Skinner was saying that she will definitely be seeing more opportunities to come up into the first team in the future, which is great. He was also praising Tottenham, talking about their togetherness. This is a Skinner thing altogether. He talks about our togetherness, and then he talks about Tottenham's togetherness as well. And Catherine Batty has also, he just talks about togetherness. Yeah. B1. And Catherine Batty was saying that Skinner was urging all the fans to keep on going to the ground. So even though they're on TV and the TV attendance is obviously the TV coverage is getting better, still wants the fans to come to the ground. So we've got a few things that we could touch on there throughout the show. But before we do that, let's just do a few introductions. Vix, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right, thanks, John.
Good. Maisie, welcome back. How are you? You okay?
Hey, John, I'm good, thanks. How are you? And thanks for having me on again.
Oh, no problem. And I've been watching your show as well. So whilst I've actually been on the show while I was recovering myself, I've been watching a few of your shows. And yeah, good to have you back on. Chloe, first time on the show. How are you?
Thanks for having us, John. Yeah, I'm good. Bit nervous. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Absolutely fine. And then Martha, thank you for staying up even later. No, our clocks have changed.
Yeah, thanks for having me, John.
No problem. And we've got John in the comments, Stuart in the comments. Hope you're all well, and a few other people watching as well. Let's make a start on the top three then. This is the title on the thumbnail. I think it's something that's really feasible at the moment. I know we're only 5 games in, but if we win Tottenham, then this is what I'm kind of asking and putting out there. If we win Tottenham, that's in 6 games we'll be favourites for top 3. Now, I appreciate City's going to get better, but if you have a look at the games that we've got coming up, I think they're all winnable, apart from the Arsenal one, which I think is understandable. Even if we lose Arsenal, get a draw against someone and win the rest, I still think we're in a good position going into Christmas. Andy, I'll bring you in first. Top 3, Champions League. If we win Tottenham, would you kind of put us favourites as top 3?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously we've had the news today about Jackie not, being out of a hamstring, which is disappointing. But I think we might go into it. It's going to give some great opportunities for other players. I think at this point it's more of a mentality issue. I think top 3 is definitely specifically third is the one that's really begging for it at the minute. I think obviously. We do well against Spurs. We're playing Everton in their little park with a stand a week later. So, that's very much doable, even though they're going to have a new manager. We've got a Conte game following that midweek against City. But again, say we get a result there, that would be quite positive. You've got a chance of getting watching Skinner, a little wave going. Towards Arsenal. And I'm actually going to be more positive. This is what happens when you've been away for a week. You've gone a bit like me. I'm going to be more positive. I think we could nick something at Arsenal because it's at home. And it's, so I'm going to stick with that until I get proven wrong.
John's in the comments saying that we have to win on Sunday. It's a must. I think if we want to lay down a marker and actually show that we're serious, I do think that. I think if we win that, definitely. I always try and see the glass half full. If we draw, it's not the end of the world, but it's not. Teams aren't going to be scared of us if we start drawing against Tottenham. Whereas if we do put this one together, I think it looks good. Chloe, your first time on the show. What are your thoughts on the season at the moment? Do you think we've got off to a good start, or are you a bit more sceptical? What are your thoughts?
No, I think we've got off to a really good start this season. I just hope we can keep it that way throughout. I think City have dropped points that they should have won. So I think we're playing better as them at the minute.
Do you still see City as our biggest rival for top 3, or maybe someone like Tottenham or Everton now that they've got a new manager coming in? Where do you kind of see our competition?
I think anyone can be our competition at the minute. I think City will creep back up with the players returning. Like Lucy Bronze will be returning soon, and so Steph Harton and other players. But they've still got a long way to go.
Yeah, it's still only November. I'm just trying to take it a little bit at a time. So I thought to myself, let's have a look at the first 5 matches together, and now I'm going to have a look at from now till Christmas. Can we go into Christmas in that top 3? If I think that would be fantastic if we can go to Christmas in top 3, because the chances of us falling away like we did last season, I mean, that is so unlikely. How all those injuries came about. So hopefully that won't happen again. Vic, let's bring you in regarding top 3. What are your thoughts on this?
I think even though, last year, was it about this time last year, we were about top, weren't we? I think we were getting there. But I think we have a better chance this season because of how City have slid away and their injuries. You thought, after a month, they'll all be coming back and they'll be fine. But they just seem to get in more and more, don't they? So I think if we can beat all the ones around us, the ones below us, and if we go to City and get a draw, we'll get top 3. But we just need to take each game and be sensible about it, and just make sure we don't keep giving stupid goals away. Because I think attacking wise, we do have plenty of threat there. But in the City game, to score and then concede a few minutes later, we just need to be a bit smarter about it, don't we? Really?
Yeah.
Vic, how do you think the fan base would react if we did get one draw? Because I know we should go into every game thinking that we should win, especially someone like Spurs, Everton, Brighton, and I think Villa. We've got those 4 games coming up. If you judge all of them individually, we should win every game. We should expect to win every game. But there's going to be slip-ups along the way, isn't there? If we end up losing away to Brighton, do you think the fan base would start going off on one, or how do you think they would react to that?
I think it depends on the game. I mean, we've never lost to Spurs, and you would expect on paper we've got the better squad and we should win that game. Brighton away, I think, is the trickiest one in away game wise, because we struggled in the past and we lost there last season. But I think as well, it's not just about losing, isn't it? It's the manner in which you lose. That makes it a bit more palatable, doesn't it? If you lose and you're putting up the fight, are the other team's better?
Yeah.
It's like when we lost to Chelsea with just so many mistakes, you walked away and you were like, oh, what on earth have we just seen? It's just I always think if you go into the game and you fight to win, fans are happy anyway, aren't they?
It definitely helps with it, absolutely, yeah. Maisie, top 3. Are you kind of seen us as favourites even before we go into Tottenham? Because I still think Tottenham will fade away even if we end up losing against them. I still think we should be up there. But what are your thoughts?
Every single season, you've still got to remain optimistic, thinking we're going to get into the top 3, because that's what I like. I just like to be optimistic at the start of the season that we can do this, because when you look at our squad, literally on paper, we have got that squad to get into Champions League and to get far into a cup even as well. And especially seeing that there is teams such as Manchester City, who I think they're currently in 9th at the moment, so they're not doing well whatsoever, and you don't expect that from Manchester City, knowing how well they've done in the past, the squad they've got even as well, and the signings they've made in the past as well. You do know already that it is going to be a Chelsea and Arsenal top 2, because you can tell how amazing Arsenal are being at the moment, because it's going to be very difficult to break down Arsenal as a team. Chelsea, you know how well they've been, but for us, I feel like we are ready as a squad to make it into Champions League football. And I think if we do Champions League football, we do need to invest a little bit more in the summer window, especially just so we can be sustainable in the Champions League as well. Because with our squad, it isn't the biggest of squad depth. So if, for example, we do pick up then a couple of injuries and we play like a Barcelona or a Wolfsburg, you don't know what can really happen. So especially if we do get into that top 3, we do need to sustain that injury crisis if we do get one, and we do need to pick up these couple of transfers as well in the summer.
We'll come on to that a little bit further, won't we, on your topic a little bit later, Maisie, and yourself, Vix, because I think it's interesting to see our squad this season compared to last, and we'll come to that shortly. Now, Marta, I've left you to the end because I've got a feeling that you might look at things a slightly different way. But yeah, top 3. I mean,
that's not only my job.
Well, we're top 4 at the moment, not top 3. But what are your thoughts on Marta?
I think I'm generally not a positive and optimistic person. So I think going into November, I thought I will be more positive this time around. And then I heard the Jackie news, so I'm back to square one. In terms of top 3, I think last season, we didn't lose out on top 3 because we didn't win against Arsenal or we lost against Chelsea. We lost because we dropped points against Reading and Brighton. And so I know it's very easy for us to say that we should win all the remaining matches against a non-top 3. But historically, in the second half of the season is when we kind of find it very, very difficult to win all our matches. And that's actually the time when the likes of Chelsea, City and Arsenal, they really get into beast mode and they become really difficult to beat. Second half of the season, also we have away games, so we against the top 3 side, so it's going to be difficult. I think if we strengthen in the January transfer window, we'll have a chance. But yeah, I'm not as positive as everybody else. But I really hope. I think we're in a good position if we can kick on. And for me, I think of all the 4 matches that we have in November, the first 2 are must wins, and I think even if we don't win against Arsenal, we should be fine.
Obviously, I asked Vicky that question, what do you think the fan base would be like? Because I am expecting us to lose. I don't think we will go into every game that we should win and win every game. It's almost impossible unless if you are with Chelsea and Arsenal who've got that kind of experience there. I am expecting us to lose a game or 2. I think what's keeping me kind of a bit more positive than maybe yourself is I'm also expecting City to drop a point or 2 along the way, and I'm not expecting Tottenham to. I'm expecting Tottenham to do well, but they're definitely doing better than I thought. But I'm expecting them to drop a few as well. So I'm just hoping that, if we can get into Christmas in that top 3, then we can at least kind of keep level, I guess. And did you want to have a kind of the final say on this one before we move topic?
Yeah, I mean, I think to be honest, it's about momentum, isn't it? Again, and we've had this massive gap again, so we're going to see how sluggish we're going to be in the first 20 minutes against Spurs or not. Hopefully not too sluggish. I don't want any silly mistakes, but I think the key is going to be that first game after Christmas. I remember once, and if it was the season before COVID, we lost against Bristol City, and we played terribly. And I think I can't remember the game, like first game back after Christmas last year. But again, I don't remember us winning. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked it up. What was that? Sorry.
It was Chelsea because the Everton game got postponed, didn't it? And it moved to Chelsea away.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's maybe a bit of an exception there, but generally we do quite slowly after that big gap that we have at Christmas with the Christmas break. And like Namrat is saying, I think it depends if we can get somebody in January. I mean, preferably a striker. I think I'm going to speak directly to Skinner and Glazers that the object of football is to score more than the other people. So typically, the best way of doing that is getting people that do that more often, also known as attacking players. But that that might be more into what we go into a bit later. But I think maybe it's just like I've been waiting for 4 weeks now for this game, so maybe I'm just forgetting what the reality is going to be like. But yeah, in my head, I think we could win all of November's games. But obviously, in reality, against Arsenal, maybe it'll be a bit different. But we'll see.
I'll let that comment on screen because it kind of ties in a little bit with what Maisie wants to discuss. So do you want to bring this topic up, Maisie? Then obviously we can all kind of say what we think about it.
Yeah, so my topic was what areas do we need to invest in the January transfer window to sustain that Champions League spot or to get that cup, like fire in the cup or even potentially win a cup. For me, I would have thought that in areas what we do need to invest in, I would say in the defence, a centre-back or two, and I do also think a striker, because I know we've got Russo, but she's not always going to be fit. You can't expect her to be fit for every single game possible. And I think we definitely do need one, because if she doesn't play, most likely it'll be Ella Toone in that false nine, and a false nine won't work for every single team.
Yeah.
You're listening, Skinner.
Go on, Vix, do you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was happy with the transfers, but in the last couple of weeks, I was like, yeah, they're not going to not get another striker, and they're not going to not get a winger. And then it was like they got so far and not bothered to finish the job. So for me, like I've been saying, I want Blackstenius up front and Rachel Daly on loan, who can play as a striker, or a right winger, or a right back. And then if you just got a couple of players, automatically you're that much stronger. I think we've got 21 in the squad at the minute, and I think we can have 25. So you do need that little bit of depth, don't you, and competition. Nat wants Ebony to come back from Louisville as well on loan. But my idea is, guys, we make our transfer list, we make a paper aeroplane, and then we have a look where John Murter is at LSD and fire it in his direction.
Even if we can just get one that's on the list, because we never do we?
No.
One that we have actually got was Belvita, but we knew that was happening last January.
Yeah,
anyway,
about 20 years.
Yeah,
20,
exactly,
you know. Even the Norwegian Federation announced that before.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So, yeah. There's a few comments in the comments. I'm your team to come back. I know John Fry is a massive fan of that. Andy, I'll ask you this question, and I know that we've been like sampling it out to a few of our friends away from YouTube, and I spoke a little bit about it yesterday on the channel. We're going to speak about it a lot in the next month. As a United fan, we love our youth to come through. If we do sign Blackstenius or get Daly or get whoever in January, we're not going to see Maria Edwards, are we? Or we're not going to see Carly Solskjaer, which I don't think we should be seeing Carly yet anyway. But how do you feel about that scenario? The fact that we want to potentially bring in a Blackstenius, but it could be at an expense of seeing a youngster. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. I'm just saying it could be one or the other.
Well, first of all, I just did it then in case you realise Blackstenius isn't exactly about to pick up her pension. She's 25. So I think that's an important point. I think United's DNA is two things: attacking football, three things: attacking football, good football to watch, and obviously bringing you forward. But like anything, if you fill your team of geriatrics, you're not going to do very well. If you fill your team of people that are too young and it's too early, you're not going to do very well either. So you can't go with those two extremes. And I would say at the moment, if we had a little sort of like a little dial, I think we are a little bit heavy on the youth, actually. And that's not a bad thing. They're going to be brilliant coming forward. And we've already seen the development of Ella Toone in the last 3 years. And we're seeing already some fantastic results in the devs. But we've also heard people like Ella talk about how they learned so much more from established players, from obviously Kirsten Press and Tobin Heath when they were there last season. So I think, to be honest, we're going to need at least one Blackstenius, for example, who's 25, so she's not old. She's got a number of years, obviously, to flourish and develop herself, but has got that little bit of seniority over players at 18, 19, 20, 21. And I think, to be honest, the answer is both. But I think you can lean towards the youth, and you could argue, to be honest, that we need to, because, rightly or wrongly, whether it be the evil Glazers or whether it be, whatever people want to talk about, we're not going to get the same budget as the top three. So we need to work out how we're going to break that gap. Well, I think you get one or two senior 25 or older players for then the youth to look at, to bring on. And we've discussed before about how Ella Toone has developed in other areas. She's much more confident on interviews now. She's much more confident interacting with the fans. She's much more confident just when you look at her when she's won and lost. All that kind of like periphery stuff they can learn from more professionals. So I would say, Maria Edwards, if Blackstenius comes in, yes, that might reduce her opportunities. But as Maisie mentioned, Russo can't carry our striking option totally. I know Martha Thomas might come back in, but every striker likes to feed off somebody else. So a Blackstenius would mean we'd have 3 nominated strikers, for want of a better word. Obviously Blackstenius and Russo and Martha Thomas when she's fit. And then you got the opportunity to drop one of them occasionally and bring in a you for a part of the game.
I'm going to ask Chloe the same question, but I'm also going to say we've also got Fuso as well. Do we need any more strikers, or do we just need our strikers to stay fit? Or, just to play devil's advocate here, we've still got Maria who's banging in 4 goals. Everyone's saying, promoted to the senior team. Have we already got too many strikers, or do you agree with pretty much everybody else in the fan base that we need another striker?
I think we need a more experienced striker in helping our squad, like the likes of Russo and Ivana, and a more experienced one in playing in the Champions League if that's what we're going to be fighting for. Because Blackstenius has played for the clubs that have played in the Champions League. So if we can get an experienced player, either in defence, midfield, or as a forward, who has that experience to push and fight for the Champions League, then that's going to show the rest of the squad what we need to do in fighting for the Champions League.
I think that's a fair point. I mean, now, Marta, do you think, 1, will we actually do any business in January? 2, do you think that we'll get more than 1 player, or do you just see us getting 1 maximum? What are your thoughts going into January?
I'll be positive. So I think we will have at least 1 player in January. I think we should have somebody who is a forward. My issue actually is that if you talked about which area do we need starting of the season, we thought that before the Chelsea game, I think most of us thought that our defense is actually a strength area for us. And I think since the Chelsea game, we've started to see that it's still not as great, and we probably need reinforcements. So I think I'm not really sure if I would prioritize defense or attack. One thing that I wouldn't want is for us to see that, okay, we don't have enough forwards in our team right now, and then go for a short-term fix. So go for maybe a lone player from NWSL, or somebody who's probably not as young, I think 30 and above or something. I want somebody. I don't mind if I know Blackstenius is obviously available in January, but regardless of that, who we go for, I would want to have that player to be here for about 3-4 more years. So if we have to wait for that profile of player for the summer, that will be fine. I think for me, a forward and hopefully a centre back. That would be my January transfer wish list.
I agree with the centre back, and I didn't think I was going to be honest, but I don't think we're anywhere near ready. Even if we don't get a centre back this January, I still think we'll end up getting one in summer. And I believe Millie Turner's out of contract as well. We don't know what's going to happen with Millie. Obviously, I'd like Millie to stay, but if she doesn't, we had no idea Amy Turner was going to go until maybe a month or 2 before it was announced. So if there is a surprise there, all of a sudden we're down to 2 centre backs. So I agree. I think we do need a centre back, whether it be January or in the summer. We do need to be looking at that as well, don't we? Vic, I've left this comment on screen from Marty. Do you want to maybe answer this one and then go into your topic?
Yeah, I think he definitely is just playing his system. I don't think he adapts it. I think at this stage, he's like trying to assess the gaps between where he wants to be and what he gets on the pitch. I know he did adapt a bit in the end in the City game in the second half, but when you look at where we probably fall short, it's like people aren't getting the entire part of the system. Like the gaps between the midfield and the defence. When we're out of possession, I would say.
And bringing in your topic, I think it's really interesting because I want to talk a little bit about this myself. But if you just want to introduce it, and then I'll kind of have a little bit of a say on it as well.
Yeah, I think for me, with everything that's been going on, it's just whether we're actually in a better position this year for Champions League than last year. because you're looking at what's going on around you, and going into the season, you thought, right, so you've got your traditional top three, haven't you? And then us in Thorpe try, a second attempt really to try and get up there. And you just look at it and you think, well, have we got enough? As the experience of last year, has that made us stronger? Because, these young players like Tooney and Russo and, the ones that, the originals, they've had that experience of being top of the league and thinking they want to get Champions League, and then the heartache of missing out. So it's not just about bringing new players in, but the ones who have stayed. Does that experience make you better for this, in the second half of the season?
So on that, I think obviously having the Americans on board last season has obviously developed a lot of players, and I think Kirsty Hanson, we haven't mentioned her today, and I think she's definitely revelled in that. I don't think Kirsty actually needed anyone, but I think she's self-motivated enough. I think we've seen that anyway, but I think having Tobin and Christian there would only help that. We've seen Ella, and I'm sure everyone who's played alongside them has benefited. Even if you have a look at the change of personnel from season to season, I think we've got weaker up front, but I've said from day one, I think we've got stronger in defence, because even though we lost Amy, we've gained two good defenders in Hannah Blundell and Mannion. Our goalkeeper situation has got better. Our midfield's got stronger. We never lost anyone, and we gained Balvisa. It's just up front. So 3 positions out of 4, I think we've actually got stronger. It's just such a shame that the front line got such a massive hit. So if you add that onto City's poor start to the season with the amount of injuries that they've had, it almost looks like that we are in a better position. And I don't know how that would have happened when you consider that we've had a new manager who's obviously still settling in. I think he's been there for about 3 months now, but he hasn't had that many games with the players, and I think that's kind of interesting how that's worked out. Andy, do you want to kind of jump in on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, we're definitely stronger in a way, but we have left ourselves really open up front. And I know I've made a bit of a joke of it. I'm sort of like, I'm more strikers kind of person, but I do honestly think that he had an informal conversation with him in September. He said, right, do you want to be weak in defence or attack? Because that was the option, I think, going into the season. And if he's chosen to be weaker in attack, that was the right decision to be made. I mean, obviously, it sort of links to what we were saying previously. I think I'd like to see we'd get one person in January, but I think the problem with January, it's kind of like a if you've messed up transfer zone, because nobody really plans to fix anything in January. It's people that have got a lot of injuries, or maybe all right with the women's game, you've got leagues at different times of the year, so you might have more just because they're in NWSL. But it's kind of like a whoops, I messed up a little bit kind of window. And I think that was always the justification why Casey never went for it. But I think that was ideological. I think she just didn't like it, whatever's available. She just had a thing of you get people in September, you bring everybody through, irrespective of what happens. I think Mark was different, but he's got a little bit of that in him as well. So I do worry he's just going to talk about waves, energies, and super bunnies or something, and he's going to ignore January. And then suddenly we'll be in February again, and we're like, well, we can't fix this now. We're going to have to try and get through to the end of the season. But yeah, no, I think we are probably stronger, but not by much. We've just kind of got different players and possibly better players as well, and we've stopped carrying certain people as well. One that went north of the border, for example. And that does give an opportunity, for players. And obviously, you mentioned the originals there as well. I'm gonna be careful what I say here. I think as a fan base and possibly as a club, we need to get over the OG 21 business, because at the end, yes, it's lovely that they were there since the beginning, but at the end of the day, Casey was putting the squad in for the championship. And yes, lots of the originals are very strong and are going to be here for a number of years. Thank God, Leah Galton, Toon, etc. But there's a few originals that you could argue could move on if you were looking at it from a purely emotionless perspective, which obviously as fans we can't do. But I think as a club we need to see, we need to be quite ruthless. We were talking before about the established players. There's a few established players in Black Stanius' age range that need to step up a little bit and maybe do feel a bit more comfortable because their next, but the person behind them is 20 or 19 or something like that. So just like you've seen how Mary's kicked on with Sophie Bagley snapping at her heels, maybe the midfield will get a bit better or whatever if you have more people snapping at their heels as well. I've just ruined my positivity and I'm going to blame you, John.
We'll come back to the topic shortly, but there's a question here. And I want to say one answer, and I want Namrat to say the opposite answer. So I'm going to be positive, and I'm going to turn around and say, yes, I think we can. And I want Namrat to give a reason why not, because I know Namrat will probably have one. So I'm going to turn around and say, if Mark continues this system, we can make top three. And I'm just going to base it on the fact that it takes time to, after 3 years of the United players playing a certain way on the KC, I think it takes time. So therefore, in my opinion, I think it will take time for Skinner to kind of get his way of playing across to the players. I think it also takes Skinner time to realise what player that he's got at his disposal can play his style of play. So we all keep on screaming, hey lad, build the ball, Risa, because they're maybe the better individual players, but maybe the Skinner's in Skinner's head at the moment, they can't play that way. So I think potentially, given time, it's just been three or 4 weeks since we played the league game. Hopefully, then 3 or 4 weeks have worked on something, and they'll gradually get better, and we see more attacks that are a bit more fluid. We see a bit more wing play, even though we haven't seen much of that. So I think, given time, the players will kind of adjust. But I think the opposite to that, is something that Namrat could potentially say right now.
I think I'm actually going to wait for the Everton Spurs game before really.
Whatever that you get that it's recorded. Yeah, we sort of record these now. Well done.
Before really kind of allowing myself to be positive about getting into top three. But so my point really is that if you look at last season, Man City did not have a good start to the last season as well. By Christmas, they were 5 points behind us, and they ended up finishing 8 points ahead of us by end of season. So my only concern here, so although I do think that they're probably not as strong as last season, they have a lot of injury crisis. I think Arsenal and Chelsea are a lot stronger than any of the other teams in WSL. So the fight is really for the third spot, I think. So yeah, I think if we can somehow just manage to win against the non-top three sides, and even if we get 1 point or a couple of points against the other top three teams, we should be there. But that's like a very big if. So one thing also is that even though we've had, I think apart from the Chelsea game, we've had a really good start of the season, but the teams that we have faced, apart from them, so 4 of them, so we have, apart from Chelsea, we have faced 4 teams, and 3 of them are bottom 3 of the league right now. And I think only Aston Villa are, I don't know, 7th or 6th or 7th, that position. So we are yet to face the really difficult teams for us. And I think Spurs are going to be a really good challenge, because I think defensively they're the second best league. They are the second best team in the league. And usually what we see is that we have difficulty breaking teams down who are really good defensively. So, and without Jackie in our team, it's obviously going to be a big challenge. If we can get through that, I think I'm going to be like a lot more confident about top 3.
I think you make a good point there, and this is on my mind as well. So as I keep on saying, we've got 10 points out of the possible 15, which I think is a success, having played Chelsea and City in those games as well. It is in my head that 3 of those matches have been against the bottom 3, Reading, Leicester, Birmingham. So I'm fully aware of that. All I'm kind of clinging on to is the fact that we're now a month further into this journey, where Skinner's been with the players that extra month, and now we're against that next level up. So we're playing the Brightons, the Evertons, and the Tottenhams, and then obviously we'll finish like with Arsenal as well. So I'm hoping that in this extra month that we've had, it keeps on progressing slowly, and we keep on winning, because we've won at the moment. We've won the bottom 3, and now we're against like the next level up, and we kind of now see. We'll see on this Sunday when we go down to London. This is like his biggest test yet outside of the top 3. Has he actually brought us forward? I'm hoping that he has. I can't see why he shouldn't. and hopefully we might see a different change of personnel as well, because there's no Jackie, so the fans are going to get what they want with either Hayley Ladd or Balrisa as well, I hope. Do you want to come back on that one now, Marta, before I bring Chloe in?
I think that if in the past 1 month we have hired a really good set piece specialist, that is going to be like the biggest difference for us.
Tell the best free kick taker that we've got.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
Move on.
Also, I think about if I say anything that meme with Mourinho that he does.
Yeah.
Chloe, transfer window. Sorry, not a transfer window. Sorry. Do you think that we got a better squad this season than we had last season?
Yeah, I do think we've got a better squad. But however, we've not got as much experience as we did have with Tobin Heath and Kristen Press in the squad. I always think that we should have a little bit more experience in fighting for the Champions League, especially with the people who are in the Champions, like the teams that are in the Champions League with you. You've got your likes of Lyon, Wolfsburg, Barca, your Arsenal and your Chelsea, and obviously you had City, but they got knocked out by Real Madrid. So that just shows you their injury.
So Vicky laughing, so I can start laughing as well.
So
we'll finish off on Maisie on this one. So it's a good point that Vicky's brought up. Are we actually in a better position to win Champions League spot this season or the last? What are your thoughts on this?
I actually think that we are in a better position than we was last season. Even though last season we was top of the league this time last year, near enough. But at the same time, there was that coronavirus, and then there was teams where they were getting postponed. So we was playing the majority of our games, but you've got like Chelsea, Arsenal, and City, who was like a game or two behind because of the coronavirus or because of the Champions League or whatever. So it wasn't that true reflection at that moment in time. Whereas at this moment in time where we are now, this is a proper accurate of where we currently are, because everyone has played the same amount of games, so we do know where everybody is currently up to. I do feel like we have improved as a squad. We brought in Hannah, and she has been a brilliant asset to the squad, who is a winner at Chelsea. She has played in the Champions League, so you know that she can do something if we do go into the Champions League, and she has that little bit of experience. So that back line, I think Mannion as well is a real good asset to have also. And Bo Reese, I would love to see a lot more of her, and hopefully as well we might see something of her next game or in the next coming games, because she'd be a real good asset to have. I do feel like this season it has to be, you've got to go out and get this top three now, because especially with Man City dropping the points the way they are, we need to take this advantage while we can. I know we've got these couple of games coming up with like Brighton, we've got Arsenal. There's a couple of other games there as well. I think with Everton, they've got a new manager from what I believe. So we do need to see on how Everton comes on in their next game, just to see if their formation's changed, if the players have changed as well, in terms of have they got to do a different lineup compared to the old system way. And we need to look at that and assess it for when we play Everton.
I'm loving these comments as well, by the way. So I'm just glancing on some of the comments on the screen as well. I do think it's really interesting the fact that we have relied heavily on City having a bad run of games, and I don't think we would be probably where we are if it wasn't for City at the moment. But I do think it's good. I do think that this is probably our best opportunity, if you consider the mess that we was in over the summer, to actually be talking about top three. I think I don't know how we've done it, but we've done it. So if you can, let's go back to my original point. If you win Tottenham, then I think we really do stamp our mark. Andy, do you want to bring your topic in, mate?
Yeah, we've kind of already talked it when I had a measured, and we sort of touched on it a bit when I had a measured response earlier. But it's basically, again, it's looking into obviously coming up to January. Are we going to try and look to focus to bring some of you through and gain that experience, or are you actually going to try and think that we need our established players, an established striker to come in and established players to step up? I mean, just to sort of touch on what you were saying about Spurs, I'm picking somebody up at 6:30 on Sunday morning, so they better not bloody lose. To be honest, as a side point there. But no, in all seriousness, so I suppose again, we've sort of have already touched on it. So maybe I'll sort of spin it a little bit differently and say, we've not heard much about Martha Thomas. Hopefully, she's due back soon. Do you see her coming back into the squad, or how do you think she's going to fit into Mark Skinner's plans in the next couple of months?
Me personally, I think she won't come back as a starter. I think Russo will continue to start, which I think is the right thing to do. But then instead of seeing the likes of Carrie Jones come on or subbing Russo off, putting Tierney up front, putting someone else out wide or whatever, I think we'll just see Martha as a straight swap sometime in like the 60th or 70th minute. Maybe the Conti Cup matches or matches where Russo's not 100% fit. Because we have got quite a few games in November. We might see Martha start but not finish the game. I think from what I saw with Martha Thomas, to be fair, in that opening couple of games, I thought she was actually okay. But obviously Russo for me is my first choice striker, and I think she will be until we sign someone like a Blackstenius. And did you want to come back on that one?
I'm just picking up on the words you used. I thought she was okay. Exactly. That's the problem. Yeah. And it's, I just don't know what it is. I mean, hopefully, somebody's seen something. And we had those West Ham fans on at the beginning of the season that said, one of them got a bit overexcited and said she could be 20 goals this season. Well, no. But in the sense of, they were thinking she is somebody special. You would hope somebody somewhere on our side has also thought the same. But to be honest, I mean, that's exactly the way. She was okay. She was, Madeira cake. Nobody wants a cake and chooses the Madeira cake. But it kind of functions the same thing. It's not something that most people, it's sort of middle of the road. And I think that, maybe she was just getting her form because she scored. Was it against?
She scored against Leicester when she came on. She'd done well. She'd done what she had to do in that game. She still hasn't had a run of games yet. So I think
it could be more to do with that, to be honest. But if we can't, we can't fill our squad with multiple players. If it is going to be literally one in, one out, or only one additional, we can't really have many okays. We need to, if we're going to bring somebody in, they need to be pretty much like an Ona Baje, a Hannah Blundell. Maybe Hannah was a great example because, she came in because of LJ, which on paper, I'd say some people were like, ooh, blooming out, we got the wrong end of the stick there. As things stand, I think we got a very good deal. So maybe it'll be something like that might happen further down the line.
Let me bring Chloe in regarding Martha Thomas, and then some of the other players are on injury, like Millie Turner and Curtis Smith. We'll ask a couple of people about potentially them coming into starting 11 as well. So, Chloe, do you want to start off on Martha Thomas? What are you kind of expecting to see of Martha in the next few weeks?
I think we'll see Martha be eased in by Mark Skinner, not rushed back to a starting 11. I think I saw one of the comments saying Thomas for Russo. That'll be the ideal swap. But also giving Ivana a chance as well to start, and then bringing in Russo or Thomas. But I don't think she'll start straight away because she is only just coming back from an injury. But we, like all of us know, we didn't know much about her injury and how long she was going to be out for. And I think we did miss Martha Thomas, and she played very well for, was it West Ham last season? And I think if we can build her strength up in that kind of way by easing her into the game again, I think she'll be like the Martha Thomas we saw last season, especially when she played against us.
I think one other thing that Martha Thomas gives us is the opportunity to bring her on, but also Russo out wide. And I don't want Russo out wide, but if we've got someone injured, then it saves keep on putting Tooney out wide. We can keep Tooney at number 10. So if you need to rest Hansen, you need to rest Galton, no problem. Put Russo out there for half an hour or however long we need it for. And then Martha Thomas
definitely.
That's another way of looking at it. And then we don't need that false 9 do where we can just keep Tooney where she's best. She can just stay at number 10 instead of number 9 or out wide. So let's talk a little bit about Millie Turner then. So now, Martha, I'll bring you in on this one then. If Millie Turner's fit, does she come straight back in?
I don't think so. I don't.
No loyalty with the OG 21 there.
Oh, she's an original 21. Be careful.
See,
We're all coming for you.
Yeah, no, I love Millie Turner. I think she. I started watching in first season of WSL, and I think first half of that she was really solid for us. I think though she has lost. I think when she got injured, Maria Torres-Daughter came on, and I think to me she looked shaky in the first few games, but since then I think in the last 2-3 games she's been really solid. And if she can keep that up, I think it's going to be a bit difficult for Millie to come back. I do think she will play for us, but I don't think she should automatically come back if Maria is playing well. Uh, Mannion, I think she's been pretty good for us as well. I think overall, even if you look at all the stats and everything, she has some pretty good stats for us, and she's also won the captain's armband. So I think it'll be a bit difficult for her to come back. But that's what we actually want. We want options in every position, and we want players kind of fighting for their spot. And uh, you know, I think last season Millie did not have a very good season, and uh, I think even before she got injured, I wish she hadn't got injured at all. But I think there were talks that she should be on the sidelines for a while to kind of give her that time to come back and get away from the pressure and maybe give some time to other players. So yeah, I think I would definitely want to see her play again for us, and I think she will. But I think just now it's going to be a bit difficult for her to get back.
I agree with Marta for a change. We're on the same wavelength. No, I mean, I agree with that. I think the centre backs have done well. I think they've done pretty much what's expected. There's always going to be mistakes there every now and again. We're not filled with world-class players that have played together for ages. Obviously, I'm a massive fan of Millie Turner. She's probably in my top 3 favourite players at the club because she's an OG 21, Andy.
I have no problem with the OG 21s either, by the way, just to be clear before I'm cancelled. No, it's just, I'm just being, sometimes it can hold a bit too much weight, I think, in people's thinking. And, especially when they talk about when they're going to play, and wouldn't it be upsetting to pull Millie because she played every game in X and Y season? You just got to look at it on form. I mean, Berta Reese said he's game time. It's lucky, I suppose, that that Jackie, unfortunately, is injured. Because if you don't play her, she'll leave. That's another thing that people seem to forget. That's what happens when you don't play players; they leave. So yeah.
Hopefully, Billy won't leave. If we get a chance at the end, we'll have a little chat about the Jackie and Bolvisa kind of thing, with Jackie being injured now. But Maisie, just coming to yourself then, would you like to see Millie come straight into the team, or do you kind of agree with Marta that she needs to kind of wait for an opportunity now?
I do really like Millie. The same as you, John. She is one of my favourite players at the club. But for me, especially with her being out for so long, we need to ease her back into the team at the beginning. Even if we started her and then subbed her off after like the 70th minute, or we subbed her on to keep a clean sheet or to prevent less goals. But I think if she does build up her fitness bit by bit, I don't see no reason why she wouldn't be in the starting 11 spot. I think it would probably be a Mannion and Millie Turner partnership if it was going to be her playing. Because I think with me, I just think that it's just a bit too risky to just put her straight back into the full 90 when she's fully fit again, because that's just going to sustain a lot more injuries in the longer run.
I just want to shout out John's comment here. I mean, I'm really happy for Maria, to be honest, because I think she has taken an opportunity. The fact that we pretty much all said that Millie should have come straight in, I think that's credit to Maria. And I know she's like, she might have made the odd mistake, or, her back passes have kind of been a little bit off every now and again. But generally, I think we've seen not the best of Maria, but the best part of Maria in a United shirt. So, credit there. Vicky, there's one other player that's still due to come back, Kirsty Smith. We haven't seen anything of her this season. I don't think maybe we've seen in pre-season. I can't remember. It's been ages. So what are your thoughts on Kirsty, and when she does get fit, when do you think we'll see her on the pitch?
I don't think you'll see her against like the top teams, but she's always been a good backup player, hasn't she? She's not a person who causes trouble in the squad and demands to play every game. You need players who are good squad members, don't you? And I know, like in the summer, we weren't sure if she was going to re-sign, and I was really glad that she stayed on, because I think she, depending on the side you play against, if you play more attacking, she's not bad going forward, and she's quite decent, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Karthik, I've got your comment, mate. We'll do a separate show on that one at some point. So yeah, we can definitely look forward to that one. There's 2 topics left, so we'll come to Namratas first.
Yeah. So my topic is actually a question, and the reason I'm bringing this topic up is because in a lot of pods recently and beyond, we have been talking about how certain players are really good in their position, and she is better than this one, and we go on and on about progressive plays and all of the stats and everything. But so my question actually is that out of all of our players, which player do you think is the best when played out of position? I think there are some obvious options for that. So just really would really like to go around and listen to all of your views, and maybe in the end I can come to myself. I have 3 choices, by the way.
Okay. So basically, you're asking like if like there's like a centre midfielder who has to play like, in a different position, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or something
Yeah,
like that.
maybe
Okay.
if a defensive midfielder has to play advanced, or let's say
Yeah.
Tooney has to play as a defensive midfielder, something like that.
Cool. Okay, we'll go around. Chloe, do you want to kind of start off on this one then?
Yeah, I'll start off. I think Hayley Ladd, who plays in
Ooh.
midfield, but for Wales she plays for central defence. So to see her probably in defence in partnership with Mannion will probably be good, because she does play very well for Wales, and she has got them clean sheets in her bag for the games. But also Russo, like as you said, John, she plays good on the wing, but she also plays good up top. So both of them, I think, are good players that play out position.
Maisie, I'll come to you. There's a couple in the comments as well. That's looking quite
There
good.
is. There is a couple in the comments, what I can see there. I'd have to agree with Chloe. I think Hayley Ladd is definitely a shout, because you are seeing her as a CDM role at Man United, and then when she does play for the international team, she plays as a centre-back. And you do wonder though, if we did have them injuries, I hope not, but in that centre-back position, if Hayley Ladd would actually get in as a centre-back, and who would she be partnered with? If that was, would you suit it with Mannion? Would you suit it with Millie Turner? Would you suit it with Maria? And that is something what I would like to see, especially if we played in the Continental Cup, for an example, or in the pre-season next season, just so we can have a little mess around, just see what suits what, because sometimes a player can look better when they're in a completely different position. Another one for me is Russo playing on the wings. Even though she is good as a striker, she is also good in the wings and getting, like, she's a bit like going that kind of in the box, and it's really beneficial to the team because we are lacking in them wingers. And Ella Toone is the third one for me, just because with Ella, she has played in the false 9 quite a few times this season so far, and she has done very well getting a goal. She's averaging out a goal and assist every single game. It's absolutely brilliant how she's just gone from like a couple of goals in a season to literally averaging out a goal and an assist every game. It's just absolutely brilliant how well she's gone well this season for me.
I'm going to go for one that's slightly different, and it's a way to get Millie on the pitch as well. I'd only ever do this if Anna or Hannah wasn't available, but Maria on the right-hand side, we saw a little bit of that last season. She's not an attacking winger, but she defensively she's strong. I wouldn't want to try and come up against her if I was a left winger. So you could potentially play Maria Tomasdottir on the right fullback. We've seen that, but I wouldn't probably choose that as the best player. But I'm sure the rest of the guys will come up with the best player. Vicky, do you want to jump in on that one?
For me, it would be Leah at left back.
That was a good one. Last season when Tommy Heath was in front of her.
Yeah. She was so good. And I was so surprised how good she was at like getting tackles in. And like even with the change of system now, if you stuck her in at left back, she'd be flying up and down that wing again. Where she's like more like inside forward now. I kind of just miss her just running up and down like a crazy lady. But I was, because you saw how short we were in defence last year. It's funny, it's reversed itself out, hasn't it? But and it was big games as well that she was playing left back, and just thought she was amazing.
We had some massive players last season up front, and we couldn't fit them all on the pitch. The fact that we put Leah Galton as left back, it shows what we had up front last season, that we could afford to do that. Andy, have you got anyone different? Do you want to shout anybody out?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Forgot about Leah playing out of position. I think I can't remember that affected goals, because what I loved about her, felt like she was scoring a lot more than she is at the moment, but hopefully she'll bring that through. And obviously, we've got Honor and Hannah, haven't we, at the minute? So we are lucky in that regard, but I think that's definitely an option. Yeah, and the last one, aren't I? So if I just pick one that's already been there, it's going to sound like I've nicked somebody's homework. But no, in honesty, I was thinking of Hayley Ladd was the first one that I thought of. Because we are quite heavy in midfield, and it's possible we could get even more heavy in midfield. So if you've got a versatile player in midfield that can either jump backwards in defence or jump a bit forward, obviously like Ella Tim would obviously be another one, but she's not a false 9, she's a 10. So is that much of a difference in position? You could argue. But obviously, I think definitely Hayley Ladd. Obviously, Leah definitely doing that as well. I think all of them are good suggestions, really, to be honest. And maybe that's how we've ended up with a bit of a streamlined squad, because you have got a few that can jump around a bit.
Yeah, I agree with that meeting as well, Andy. Now, Marta, what's your kind of conclusion on all this?
I think so. I think the reason actually why I asked this was because the way I thought, I think it was the fans forum last Friday, and I wrote this in the comments that so there was a debate going on about Jackie and Zelem and all the other midfielders, and my question actually was that if you have to play any of our midfielders out of position, which is that one player that you're going to trust to play any position that you want to play. And I think last season, if you look at Jackie, she's played a 10. The first season WSL, she was a number 10. She played on the wings last season when we did not have our forwards there. She came on against Chelsea, and she provided that assist last season for Leah to score. So I think she's one of our players who is really versatile. And when under Casey, when going got tough, she was the one who was basically sacrificed from her best position and played around the park. But I think for me, it has to be Leah, because I think last season, even if you look at the stats, right, I was looking at FBref and I came across one point. So last season, Leah Galton had more successful tackles compared to Amy Turner. And I don't think most of us would be really surprised by this. But I think for a forward to really play as a left back and to play in those really important games that she did last season, I think, she had one of the best performances out of position. I think there are some other players as well. Tooney obviously plays out of position most of the times. I don't think she has really played in her position this season. I think Mannion can play at right back as well. She played that in City. So yeah, we do have a lot of players who can play out of position, and I hope we don't have to do that a lot. But yeah, Leah Galton for me.
Karthik in the comments. No, obviously you could do left and right side. But I found it's both full back into, but you can still do both sides, which is kind of good. We haven't mentioned that one, have we? We've got one more topic left that we'll bring Chloe in, and then we'll just have, if we got time at the end, just quickly mention about what we'll do without Jackie. So how we're going to cope without Jackie. So Chloe, do you want to kind of bring in the Spanish league?
Yeah. So as a lot of us know, the Spanish league is probably one of the best leagues in the world in the women's game, and they are bringing up brilliant talent for the Spanish team. And as we well know, Spain are going to be playing in the new tournament next February with England, is it Germany, and maybe Canada. But I'm more saying about the league is that Barca have played 8 games and are unbeaten in 8. They've scored 51 goals and have only conceded 2. So are they going to be the team to beat again in the Champions League, or do you think there's a chance that, say, Arsenal or Chelsea could possibly win that Champions League or say Lyon again. And another one is obviously we all know a certain someone, Nat, loves Eva, who plays for Levante. She only came back last week in her game. She's only signed a year contract, so her contract's up in summer. Is there a possibility that if Ona uses her extension, can we see Eva come over for a year or a couple of years? What do you guys reckon?
So that was at both elements of that. Please, Ona, don't go. And that'd be a good idea.
Bring your mates. Bring all the mates, you know.
We see this a lot, don't we? Like nationalities, the same nationality trying to encourage their nationality to come over. We see it a lot with like the Swedish players and Australian players. I think we'll start seeing it with Spanish. I'll open this up to you guys. Andy, do you want to kind of start that one? So Barcelona, obviously looking strong, and also the potential of Eva coming across.
Yeah, I believe Eva Navarro is basically quite good friends, if not best friends, with Ona, apparently. So, I think that's pretty much the only thing we can offer. I mean, what's Manchester got compared to Barcelona in relation to weather anyway? But no, I think I would hope that, we could hopefully shore up two things there. If Eva did come over, then I think you're pretty much going to guarantee Ona at least for another season. And I think we've all sort of fallen in love with Ona, and, we love her tenacity, her attitude, the way she plays, that goal that she scored, obviously, against Reading was something out of somebody's dream, really. And I think obviously they played together at Levante. With the Champions League situation, I think any team that's got that figures, you can't look past Barcelona. But when the coaching side of things, you need Stu Woolley here, don't you? You need the sort of technical guy to jump on this. But with the technical side of things, how much can you learn from ping teams 10-0 every week? So they could then play a Wolfsburg or a Lyon, where obviously suddenly they're going to have to have a proper opposition and come a bit unstuck. I'm not going to say against Chelsea because I can't say anything positive about them. But apart from that, let's stick with Wolfsburg.
Vix, do you want to jump in on that one?
Well, in terms of Champions League, you'd think the only team I think will probably beat Barcelona are probably Lyon. They seem to have strengthened really well. Chelsea and Arsenal, I can't see it. And because really, Chelsea just do this thing where they sell all the defenders, get rid of all the defenders and buy more attackers, then try and crowbar them all.
That should appeal to me, shouldn't it, if you think about it?
I mean, to be fair, in that final against Barcelona, I'll just bring in two inexperienced fullbacks and play them against the best two wingers in the world. I mean, that wasn't exactly coaching 101, was it? To be fair. So, Emma Hayes is a checkbook manager. People come for me for that, but I just don't think they'll be anywhere near what they need to be, because, technically, Barcelona are far superior, aren't they? They just pass people to death. They're like the old men's team, aren't they? The old Barcelona men's team under Pep. They just pass you to death. But like you say, they have so many easy games. If someone sets up right and frustrates them, there could be a shock somewhere, but it won't be Chelsea.
Now, Marta, do you have your say on this?
I think it looks like Barcelona for sure. One thing about the Spanish league, actually, so a lot of people say how it's not as competitive as WSL. And I understand that's because Barcelona have been in such great form. But I was looking at league standings just now for the past 5-6 years. And I think only twice do you have the same teams in top three. While if you look at WSL, I don't know when was the last time that we had anyone apart from Chelsea City or Arsenal in top three. So to me, and even it's almost like every year you see some teams who don't have huge budgets kind of sneak into top three for most of the season. So I think not just Barcelona, but the whole league has some really good players, really good talent. And I think in terms of youth players as well, if we have to go for youth players, I think that league has a lot of potential players who we can get on. I'm not sure with the Brexit rules if we will see that. But yeah, I think in terms of Champions League, I don't really see anybody beating Barcelona yet. I don't really watch a lot of other teams either, but I don't think Chelsea. I think Chelsea haven't been as good as last season either. So I think we will have some other team in the Champions League final. So, but yeah, Barcelona for me.
Do you want to end on this one, Chloe?
Yeah, I'll end on this one. So Barca have 5 games starting from tomorrow. They've got 3 league games and 2 basically back-to-back Champions League games against Hoffenheim, in which I think if obviously they beat them 2 because they've won against Arsenal and the Danish side, I think they'll be basically through. But basically they've literally got just looking at the computer, they've literally got 4 days within each game to basically play league, then play Hoffenheim, then the league again, then Hoffenheim, and then the league again. So literally a non-stop. And then obviously the Spanish national players for Barca will have national team games. So there's no rest for the Barca girls. So what do you reckon on like resting certain players for the Champions League and playing other players in the league?
I think Barcelona are probably in a position where even if the rest of the top players, they've still got players around them that can still perform. And I think I'm just kind of looking at where we are. This is the kind of position that we want to be in next year. If we're in that position, then we're going to have to make some real tough choices. I mean, we make tough choices in the Conti Cup, don't we? And I think, if ever we have to make a tough choice for Champions League, we'd get battered. I don't know if anyone wants to kind of jump in on that one before we end up on Jackie Groningen.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be honest, that is going to be the danger if we sneak into 3rd position and we don't really strengthen that much. We could get embarrassed quite quickly. I don't want to say that because I don't want to think about it too much. We could be a City who gets knocked out in September, kind of, or was it even August? Very early on. But it's just breaking through. And once you've been in the Champions League, I think every prospective player knows they're a Champions League club, even if they're not in it this year, because we've never been in the Champions League. It is going to be that sort of wall that we need to break through. And I think we will, and I think we'll grow. We've got a lot of youth, and when the main thing we can offer is playing time. And maybe the whole thing about Barca's and your Wolfsburgs and your Chelseas and all that, when they start playing their sort of middle to lower end of their squads, all they're doing is giving film time for us lot to try and put bids in for half their players. So maybe it'll be a bit of Christmas shopping that Skinner needs to do in the next couple of months.
We need to come to the end of the show. We have run over a little bit. Maisie, do you want to answer that question? And then we'll kind of just go around and talk a little bit about Jackie, and then we'll kind of wrap it up.
Yeah. With that question about Lauren James, I do think she did make a mistake leaving Manchester United. With her being so young as well, you wanted to have that bit of game time, and she was getting that game time at Manchester United, especially in the Champions League. She was playing quite a lot of games, but when Tobin Heath came, she obviously had a couple of injuries, Lauren James, and that did stop her from playing. And when you're at that stage of like your age, you want to make sure that you are keeping that fitness levels up. You're wanting to grow as a player because them big teams are gonna want you eventually. And I know her heart was always at Chelsea, but for me, I think with Chelsea, even though they've got an amazing squad, you do look at it and think, where is Lauren James going to play? Because she hasn't even been on the bench at all. I think I only seen on the bench once under Chelsea, and you do want her to improve as a player. And I think with Emma Hayes, she bought her as a more of a long-term investment rather than someone who'd be like, I will play you in every single game if I have to. She's just a long-term investment at the end of the day, whereas when she was at Manchester United, she was more of a player who we could say, rely on and go, Lauren James, do you want to play this game tomorrow? But know what, we've got Hannah as well, and we've still got Russo who can play up front. We've got Ella Toon there as well. We've got Havana if she did play. We've got quite a few players there who we've got there as to rely on. So I don't feel like for us we are missing out on Lauren James in particular.
Just picking up on that comment there, it's true. I mean, you could say it's a nice one-liner from the first team to the Chelsea devs, but no, I think No, I'm sure there was reason for her to move, but I certainly agree with Maisie. I think it's a kind of nice to have for Emma Hayes, and if she's moved to be near a family or to be local, she can end up on loan in Reading or God knows where. It's not possibly as a career, it's not the best decision for her. But you know, you can only do what you can do, and you can only see what you can see. So maybe it's come as a bit of a surprise, and when Emma brings her through, maybe we'll all be thinking, wow, it was a good decision for her. But
when she's 29.
Okay, so we'll finish up on Jackie then. So obviously breaking news today from Emma Sanders. So thank you to Emma as always, tweeting out, and even Catherine Batty was texted out as well, tweeting out, about the test conference today. So thank you to them. Jackie Brown out with a hamstring. Don't know how serious it is. The time frame hasn't been announced just yet. How are we going to deal with it? Me personally, I'm going to see it as an opportunity to see a player that we want to see. So if you could just name one player to come in without doing anything radical, just one player to come in, who's it going to be to come into that central midfield? Or would you change it a little bit up? But if you just one player you can bring in to replace Jackie, who would it be? I'll finish off with Andy, so I'll start with yourself now, Marta.
Oh God, why did you? I was thinking, I listen to what everyone else is saying and then say the easiest thing. But I think most of us would be expecting Wilde Boerisa to come in, and I think I was on this spot where in preseason where I said one of the best things about signing her is that finally we have somebody who plays Jackie's position in our team. She's not the same player, obviously, but I think she would be really good in that midfield. I don't think in the current defensive midfield starter setup she will be very comfortable. So I suppose I would actually want to have her and Hayley Ladd. I think Mark is not going to start either of them. I think you will probably see Zellum keep her place and probably Staniforth and Tony in midfield. I don't know.
I was thinking about this.
It's going to be a disaster.
No, I mean, Staniforth's playing really well and she deserves a chance. But is that too offensive, or all three of those players? Is that strong enough, like at the back, do you think?
Can you repeat that question? I think
I'm just thinking that there's no defensive-minded player there, in my opinion. Obviously, Zellum's a bit more defensive, but even though Staniforth's on form, Tooney's on form, I don't know if all three of them would work together. Like, I don't know. I think it's too much of a risk. I
don't think Zellum is a defensive player. If I'm really honest with you, she plays in the defensive midfield position, but she's more of a playmaker who wants to advance the ball forward. I think so. Usually with Jackie, she does her bit in terms of helping out the defensive midfielder alongside her. So I think if we have to replace her, we will have to have somebody who's really strong at shielding the defense. So I think Hayley Ladd definitely needs to come in. I'm not sure if Hayley Ladd's there, then do you continue with Zellum? Do you bring in Staniforth? Do you have Boerisa there? I'm not really sure. I just suspect that Mark will not start either of Hayley Ladd or Boerisa. Like my negativity is at full flow right now.
It is 2:00 in the morning where you are now, Martha.
I think it's 1:47. Yeah,
so it's shortly. Okay. Well, I'll give you a respite then. I'll move on to Chloe. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think a straight swap, really. Boerisa as well. But I also could see Hayley Ladd coming in. Just because she's been playing well for Wales. And I think she deserves to start, especially with Jackie being out and the way she played last season. She deserves that start, and we haven't seen much of her this season. So for me, it's more of bringing Hayley Ladd in, or Boerisa, or even putting Ella Toone back into midfield and starting Russo up top or Ivana up top, potentially.
You mentioning that there regarding Hayley Ladd, Emma Curl, who comes on the show. She sent me a message earlier. She really wanted to be on tonight, but she's working. But she did mention, she says, John say this on her behalf. So she said, watch out for Tottenham's physicality. Rachel Williams is known for being physical and don't get drawn in and losing players because of it. Now, if you talk about physicality, maybe this is a game where you got to think of the opponent and you got to think of Hayley Ladd. Is that going to be too defensive? Would I prefer to see Bo Risa and get a bit more creative? Probably. But in this game, maybe we do need to be a little bit cautious. Tottenham are doing well. Do we need Hayley Ladd? And is this a perfect game for Hayley Ladd? So I've kind of changed my mind just by thinking about that. So I'm probably going to go for Hayley Ladd, and we'll probably see Bo Risa against Everton or down the line. Maisie, what's your thoughts on this one?
My thoughts is, especially with Jackie being out, you do need that bit of creativity. You can't rely on the creativity just to come from the forward players like Russo, Ella Toon, Zellem as well. So we need to kind of have that creative player. As much as Tottenham are going to go all out, we need to also go all out. What I'd like to see, though, it would be good to see Hayley Ladd there in that starting 11, but I can't see her starting at all. So I would really like to see Bo Risa play, have that couple of minutes, because it would be good to see on how she actually will get on in the Super League, because we haven't really had the opportunity to see what she is like in our league yet. And I think against Spurs or even against Everton, we'd be able to have that little bit of judgment on what we think. Is she suited for the league? Is she suited to Manchester United as well? Because we only really seen her in the Cup and we've seen her as well in pre-season.
Yeah, Vic, so what's yourself on this one?
Well, for me, I'd bring in Hayley Ladd and Bo Risa at the same time. Personally,
I know you were Vic. I know you were.
I think against Spurs, like Emma said, you need someone who's going to cover the defence. But I also think you need someone like Bo Risa, who, from what we've seen, is very good. She's a very good passer of the ball. She's good, like getting the ball close, and distributing it long and short, a good range of passing. So she's a bit more attacking than Katie Zellem. And I think you'd see some nice interchanges between her and Tooney. So that would be where I would want to see. So Ladd, Vilda Bo Risa and Tooney.
I think this is a perfect opportunity for Skinner to make a change without he's got an excuse to make a change, hasn't he? And I think he needs to. That's why I don't think Staniforth needs to play, even though she's done well. I think she's happy just playing every now and again and coming on as a sub or being the first person to be subbed off. And I think we can continue seeing that all season. Whereas now Jackie's not playing, it's the perfect opportunity to play one of them, if not two, because it might turn around and say, well, yeah, Zellem and Jackie is my first choice pairing. However, without Jackie, I need a different pairing. And we saw Bo Risa and Ladd together at Durham. Maybe it's either Jackie and Zellem, who I know a lot of people say can't play together, but they are at the moment. They are. So you've got that pairing there, Jackie and Zellem, or your other pairing is Bo Risa and Ladd. But if you haven't got Jackie, then it's an opportunity to say, like Vix has basically said, Jackie and Katie, no, but maybe on this occasion, Ladd and Bo Risa. Andy, do you want to just finish up with yourself, mate?
Yeah. Again, it has to be Bo Risa, but I thought it was quite interesting you talked about pairings in midfield. Possibly that gives us a bit of a window into why certain things have gone the way they've gone this season. It is possible that they're like, well, this pairing is used to each other, this pairing is this to each other. I think that Lucy Staniforth has kind of cut out a bit of a super sub kind of position for her. So I think if he's going to do anything, he should play Bo Risa, but I can see him playing Hayley Ladd. But I think, I've forgotten about how physical they are, because obviously famously Lauren James, when she played for us, got a red card for a second yellow at the same time she got player of the match. So, that is definitely a concern. But definitely if you want to try and, you can't replace Jackie, but if you want to replace the Jackie style of person on the pitch, you've got to drop Vilda Bo Risa in, and then either additionally have Hayley Ladd or have Hayley Ladd to come off the bench to shore things up, because we need that physicality. We can't be scared of making tackles and pulling out of tackles, but also we've got to keep an eye on what Tottenham are like. I think Namrat was going to say something.
I think I was just thinking that there's possibly one more combination that I think Skinner might want to go with. So we might want to have so now that Jackie's not there, we might want to pack in as many midfielders as possible in our starting 11. So we might go for Tooney as false nine once again and have Staniforth, Zellum, and Ladd all in the midfield. Probably play Russo as right wing and Lee as left wing. I just feel that might be a point that I think that's how his mind works. I think, I think he, yeah.
I said this going into, I think, City. Was this a City game? Saying if we play a false nine, Tooney, then you've actually got the extra person in midfield and to try and win that battle. But I just think he's going to open himself up to so much criticism when he doesn't need to. Because everyone knows that don't play Tooney as a false nine. Even though his stats were good and we still won the games, nobody wanted it to happen. I just think he's going to open himself up, isn't he? So I don't want him to do that for his own sake. But
he's a big boy, John. He's a big boy. He'll be fine.
I can't defend everyone, Andy. I'm trying to defend as many people that can. It's hard.
You West Midlands guys again, looking after each other.
Yeah, well, there's a few Birmingham fans there. Man United fans in Birmingham at the moment, and but obviously I'm one of them. We've come to the end of the show. We have lasted a little bit longer, but there's quite a few topics, and thank you to everybody for coming on. Lots of people in the comments tonight, so thank you very much for that. Saturday, tomorrow, we got Ben and Matt's Saturday Night Live at 7:30 as usual, and then Andy, you'll be getting up nice and early in the morning to head down.
Yeah, I only mentioned it once. That's quite a good thing, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Anytime for our players, definitely.
Definitely, yeah. If anybody wants to find you all on social media, Namrata, do you want to kind of give your socials a shout out?
Yeah, it's Namrata_YDV.
Awesome. Chloe, hope your first show has been okay.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks for having me on, John. You can add me on Twitter on the Chloe Riley 14 and Instagram's Chloe Riley 16.
Excellent. Thank you, Chloe. Maisie, yourself?
Thank you for having me on, John. It's been really good being on again in the panel. You can find me on YouTube. My YouTube is Devils United. I do both men and women content, and I will be doing a watch along actually on the Spurs game on Sunday. So that'll be quite good to do. And you can also find me on my Twitter. My Twitter is at @2_MUSC Maze.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Vicky, yourself?
It is at Victoria License on Twitter.
Awesome. And Andy?
Yeah, just a Twitter there. I always say imaginatively titled at AJO_87. And I had to say, it's been great to rekindle our relationship, John. I've missed you. I think it's important that we
create all these rumours now.
Well,
we'll Sunday in person, Andy. Let's leave it as that. I had a great show, really enjoyable, and I'll catch you all very soon. Thank you, guys.